You work harder every year, but somehow, you never get ahead. Your salary goes up, but rent, groceries, and gas go up faster. What if that's not bad luck? What if it's the design? What if the system keeping you in place isn't broken? It's working exactly as intended. Today, we're going to prove it with math. In 1971, the United States broke from the gold standard. Money could now be printed without limits. And wages? They got quietly decoupled from productivity, permanently. From 1948 to 1973, wages grew almost in lockstep with output. Workers got richer when they worked harder. It was a simple deal. Then came the split. By 2024, productivity in the U.S. is up 290% since 1979. Wages up just 18% in real, inflation-adjusted terms. That gap isn't going to your boss. It's going to a system you've never been taught to see. Think of your salary as a bucket of water. Every year, your employer adds a little, maybe 3%, maybe 4%. But inflation drills tiny holes in the bucket. A 4% raise with 5% inflation? You got a pay cut. You just didn't see the holes. The Federal Reserve officially targets 2% annual inflation by design. That's not an accident. That's policy. Mild, consistent inflation makes debt cheaper for governments and corporations. And you absorb the hidden cost every single year. Layer 2, the productivity theft. When a factory worker produces more, who captures that extra value? Since the 1980s, shareholder primacy became the doctrine of American business. CEOs are legally and financially incentivized to maximize stock price, not wages. In 1965, CEO pay was 21 times the average worker. Today, it's 399 times. Same economy, different rules, different beneficiaries. Every dollar of productivity that doesn't reach your paycheck flows upward to shareholders, executives, and buybacks. Layer 3. How money is taxed. Your salary is taxed first and hardest. Income tax, payroll tax at the highest rates. Capital gains from investments, taxed at a lower rate, always by design. A hedge fund manager earning $10 million on investments pays a lower effective tax rate than a teacher earning $60,000 in salary. That is not a loophole, it is the architecture. This three-layer system, inflation, productivity capture, and tax architecture, is the mathematical cage around your paycheck. But wait, it gets more sophisticated. Because the cage has a fourth wall. Debt. When wages don't keep up, what do? You borrow. Credit cards, car loans, student debt, medical debt. Total U.S. consumer debt in 2024, $17.5 trillion. That isn't financial irresponsibility. That is the math of survival under a suppressed wage economy. And debt is elegant for the system. Your future wages are already spent, paying interest to the same financial institutions that benefit from keeping your salary low. You work for money. Then your money works against you. The machine runs on the gap between the two. The turning point that revealed everything came in 2008. Banks collapsed from their own greed. The government stepped in with $700 billion in bailout funds. Did worker wages get bailed out? No. Did pensions get rescued at the same scale? No. Bank CEO bonuses in 2009, the year after the crash, totaled $18.4 billion. The system reset. The rules stayed the same. The Federal Reserve then printed $3.7 trillion in new money. That money inflated asset prices, stocks, real estate, bonds, not wages. If you owned assets, your net worth exploded. If you relied entirely on a salary, you got left behind again. This is not dysfunction. This is the system running its code. Protect capital, sacrifice labor, repeat. Then COVID hit. The script ran again, on steroids. The Federal Reserve printed an additional $5 trillion. U.S. billionaires gained $3.9 trillion in net worth in just 18 months. Essential workers received a one-time $1,200 check. The pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Every crisis transfers wealth upward. Wages absorb the loss. The reset always favors capital over labor. So, what does this mean for you, right now, in 2025? The median U.S. worker needs approximately $80,000 a year to afford a basic middle-class lifestyle. The median salary is $59,000. That $21,000 gap is filled with debt, side hustles, and the slow erosion of savings, health, and time. The side hustle economy isn't a sign of ambition. It's the system's pressure valve, keeping workers maximally productive without requiring employers to raise base wages. And remote work? It was the single greatest opportunity to restructure wages in a generation. Corporations responded by cutting location-based pay instead. This is what economists call wage repression. And it's not just American. In 22 of 37 developed nations, real wages declined in 2022. The same playbook, played globally, simultaneously. Here is the part that rarely gets said out loud. You are always going to fall behind, because you're not supposed to catch up. An economy built on consumption needs you perpetually spending. If wages were truly sufficient, you'd save, you'd invest, you'd exit the loop, and the machine needs you in the loop. Your financial anxiety keeps you compliant, productive, and dependent on the next paycheck. That is not a side effect of the system. It is a design feature. So what do you do with this information? First, master the math. A 3% raise in a 4% inflation environment is a pay cut. Never mistake nominal gains for real gains. Always calculate in inflation-adjusted terms. Second, think in assets, not income. The wealthy don't build generational wealth through salaries. They build it through ownership, equity, real estate, businesses. Income pays bills. Assets build freedom. Third, the most dangerous thing you can do to a system designed around your dependency is to need less of it. Save aggressively. Invest in assets. Eliminate high-interest debt. Exit the consumption loop wherever possible. Because a system designed to keep you dependent begins to fracture the moment enough people understand its mechanics and refuse to comply with them. The cage is real. The math is ruthless. But understanding the rules of the game is the first, irreplaceable step to refusing to play by them. If you got a 3% raise this year, did you actually get a raise? Tell me in the comments. And if you know someone working harder every year but falling further behind, send them this video. It might change how they see everything.